David Witham here with Work in Progress. I am your personal trainer for the 7-day experience and personal trainer with Work in Progress Texas, co-owned by my wife, Amy. I want to welcome you again to the 7-day. This is kind of our first little bit of education and training that we're going to do here. And we're going to talk about the biggest question or the biggest pain point we have from most people is, I just don't have time. Well, time is really just a concept. If you think about it, it's a man-invented thing. Granted, now because of schedules and whatever, we do follow a time pattern, right? Back in the olden times where there weren't watches and clocks and things like that, you had sunrise, sunset, get stuff done somewhere in the middle. That's pretty much how the golden rule worked back then. Now it's a bit different. We have sporting events in children's and plays and work and the normal adult stuff of errands and groceries and all those things. So a lot of people will just say, like, really, I just don't have time. I don't have time to make good meals for myself or my family. I don't have time to get in workouts. I don't have time. Well, what we're going to do today is we're actually going to break down time, because if you break apart your day and you really start pulling the pieces out between work, commutes, family time, all that stuff, I think you're actually going to find that you really do have time. Maybe during the week, not as much as the weekend, but we're just going to cover a week day, or the days of the week, because that is our most busiest, and that's when you really need to drill it down and try and figure out where you might have some extra time. So I got a little presentation here we're going to look at. Okay, so this is our 7-day experience. Now I realize I'm probably not sharing my screen, so hold on un momento. So let me share here real quick. Share this little desktop guy right here. Okay, now we're sharing. Now you can see the presentation. Okay, so again, the abbreviation for our company here, WIP Texas, Work in Progress Texas. And time is actually a mindset type thing. It's a concept of you need to get your mind right on that you actually really do have this time available to you in your day. And there it is. This is your common, I just don't have time. Well, let's break down a full day here. And I break it down by minutes because minutes are more precise. We can get things in within minutes rather than concerned about hours because it's just more of a bigger scale. So in one day, there's 1,440 minutes. That seems like a lot. But as we'll see, it does get eaten up fairly quickly. So let's start from sleep and go through an entire day. So I'm going to give an average of 7.5 hours of sleep. I will promise you most people and most of our clients, when we first start working with them, are not getting 7.5 hours of sleep. So this is fairly generous at this current moment in time, but that does come down to 440 minutes. Quick math will tell you we have 1,000 minutes left. Morning routine. I'm an early riser. I tend to have a couple hours because I like to work out. I like to have my devotional time and my quiet time during my day before I start my day, so I can kind of plan it out and really mentally prepare. However, the average person, I'm going to say, really is a get up, maybe drink some coffee, wrangle the kids together, and get out the door. So I'm going to give about 60 minutes for that. And commute. I work from home. Many people work from home, but for those who don't, I'm going to say you have an average of a 45-minute commute. There are definitely instances where people have much longer than that, but I'm going to say most people we've talked to on average will say 30 to 45 minutes. I'm going on the high end just because you're going to see the outcome here at the end. Your workday. Average 8-hour workday. Yes, some of us go over 8 hours, maybe it's 9 hours, but this is your average, straight work day. I didn't put, time for breaks or lunch in there because those definitely will be opportune times. to focus on your health and other things if your weekdays are really busy. And then the average commute home, still going to stick with 45 minutes. And now we talk about family time. And the thing about the family time is 120 minutes. We're talking hanging out with the kiddos, doing things like that. And I actually forgot to put dinner in there. Let's add another hour for dinner. So that is going to put you somewhere around some really free time. So with dinner being an hour, and let's say you have 120 to 180 minutes with your family, let's talk bedtime, just some family time, whatever you want to kind of throw in there. Maybe there's a sport practice you have to go to, or bring the kids, drop them off, whatever that may be. We're going to go 120, 180 minutes. But here's the interesting piece of this. If you subtract all those factors, there's still an average of 120 to 180 minutes of time to focus on your health per day. And this is during the weekdays. So an hour and 120 minutes, I mean, that's almost 2 hours. 180 minutes, I mean, that's almost 3 hours. So there's time in there. However, we kind of teach ourselves by our habits and routines that time just isn't available. So let's go through some little bit of tips here to see what happens with that. So let's give you some tips to succeed, some tips to success. So I would recommend doing what we just did. Take some time on a weekend and just sit down with you and your spouse or whoever you might be on this journey with, and break down your days. What does your weekday look like? What does a weekend look like? And then when you start breaking it down, start to highlight where that time is going. Is it screen time? You're playing with your phone, or you're playing video games, or you're binge watching Yellowstone, or any other binge watching type thing. Could be sports, for all the guys who are big professional sports fans or college sports fans, you can get trapped watching those for hours. And I'm talking about probably non-activity things, like if you're going hiking or if you're going to play basketball or tennis, like that's healthy movement. So let's not include that. But where are those gaps? Because I promise you there are some. Here's the next bullet point. It might be a little bit harsh, but if that time that you're spending outside of what we've listed, if it's not time improving yourself or your health, it's time to change that frame. During that time that you have free, that time is better spent, honestly, just focusing on your health. I know we get tired. I know we get stressed. All these things happen and we do want to decompress. But I'm not always talking about working out or meal prepping. I'm talking about education. Things like this, watching this video right now. You set aside time to watch this video to learn about it. So any way you can improve yourself, especially because you're here for a health journey. So educate yourself more on nutrition, educate yourself more on workouts. Send messages to me through the forum or questions you have through this entire 7-day experience. Get in some meditation, mobility. Mobility is an amazing thing, which we're going to talk about a little further on, especially those of us who are getting up there in age. At 47 years old, even though I get in my workouts and stuff like that, I've got some issues in my hips and other things that I really should work on more. That's just being truthful. So looking at this, think about that. How can you take an hour out of your day to just focus on this? Because that hour is available to you when you break it down. Now, if it's not, we focus a little bit on the weekends to get some of these bigger things done. Meal prep, maybe some better workouts in and some additional movement. You can look at those days and really focus there, but we still have to get something accomplished in the week. Now, here's where the mindset and the habit starts to kind of link together. Schedule consistent times every day, whenever possible, to focus on you, not your family, not taking care of others. Focus on you and your health. By setting it at the same time every day, your body starts to associate that time of day with that type of activity. Like, I remember back in the days in college, I took a nap at like 2 p.m. almost every day. What would happen at 1 p.m.? I would start to get tired and sleepy. Why? Because I built this nap time at 2 p.m. every day into my daily routine. And so my body just assumed it's time to take a nap. Well, it can be, it's time to do my meal prep, or it's time to get in a workout, or it's time to meditate or educate, or any of those things. And what we want to do is keep that on the daily, because the more times you repeat anything, it turns to a habit. So that is literally the definition to a habit. It's some routine that you will perform essentially automatically, time and time again. And that is the goal. That's building your system to keep you on the path to your health and journey success. Now, the bullet point at the bottom there seems to be a little bit repetitive, but every single day, including the weekends. Weekends is where a lot of people get themselves in the backslide. You know, if you're in a calorie deficit to, shed some body fat, but you go out on a Friday night, you go eat a bunch of pizza and wings and beer, or cocktails. And then the next day you go out to breakfast and fork down a bunch of pancakes and syrup. And then you decide, oh, I don't feel like cooking. So you grab some McDonald's or fast food. That calorie deficit just disappears on those weekends. So you kind of end up undoing everything that you really strive for during the week. So weekends, it has to be consistent across that board, right? So trying not to fall off the wagon. I'm not saying you can't have a treat or anything like that. We'll talk about that later, about not restricting yourself to some foods and the 80-20 rule and stuff like that. Amy's going to cover that later this week. But ultimately, finding that time. And you know what? If you're having trouble starting with an hour, start with 5 minutes. Walk for 5 minutes. And then there's this great man, Ed Milet. He's a millionaire, owns his own island, very, very successful man. He has this book called The Power of One More. Well, if you walk for 5 minutes, when you hit the 5 minutes, do one more, and then do one more. And as you create that habit of 5 minutes, then the 5 minutes, next thing you know, becomes 10, then in 15, and then same thing with the workout for 5 minutes. And a lot of times, especially the days you don't feel like working out, or you don't feel like doing your mobility, or just your general movement of walking, or even some meal prep, or making a healthy meal, you just have to start. Give yourself 5 minutes to start. What you're going to find is you're going to go far longer than that 5 minutes, and you're going to be very happy that you did. So I just wanted to break down time for you and give you a little insight on how to change that mindset that, you know what, I really do have time. And it's just a matter of breaking it down into your entire day, not looking at a calendar and blocking out looking at how many blocks you have scheduled and things like that. Like, really sit down, and how long does it take you to go through your morning routine? How long is it taking you to commute to work? Get all those times down and find that pocket where you can do things. Maybe it's a 10-minute walk and between the early morning, not early morning, but the morning hours of your workday. Take a 10 or 15-minute break, take a lap. Lunchtime, okay. Let's say you're available to take an hour lunch. Well, 30 minutes of it, maybe you get in a short little workout, or maybe you get in a 30-minute walk and then eat your lunch, which actually that walk before lunch or even after lunch is great for insulin and digestion and whatnot. And a 15-minute break in the afternoon, 10 or 15 minutes, take another lap. There's so many ways to fit these things in. And honestly, a lot of times it's going to be screen time at night. No matter which form of screen time of the ones I've talked about, that's what it's going to be. If you're at your kiddo's football practice or soccer practice or hockey practice, whatever, practice or play practice, whatever, it's not something you have to actively focus on and participate with them. You're just there because, they need to practice. Walk around. They're going to be there for an hour or more if they, have locker room time and, pre and post kind of thing. It's about realizing when you can fit these things in. So last but not least, I want to throw you down a quote. One of the greatest books you can probably read, I think, in your health journey space is a book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. So it doesn't matter how successful or unsuccessful you are right now. What matters is whether your habits are putting you on the path to success. We'll talk about this more because it is so important when it comes to all of this. It is so important to literally just take those baby steps. Try and improve 1% every single day. If you started with 5 minutes, do 6 minutes the next, 7 the next. Keep that, because over the course of a year, that 1% change every day over 365 days is a 37% positive change. Okay? So thank you so much for listening. I'm so excited that you're doing the 7-day experience with us. We have a bunch more coming for you. Let's wrangle in that time and let's really get to it for these 7 days. Y'all have a great evening, day, night, whenever you happen to watch this. I appreciate you. We'll talk soon.